What's up? Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is classically Christion, and just got done watching that most recent episode of Survivor. And what else can I say other than best individual performance by a player so far, period. Xander, that was something else. What is up, guys? Welcome back, and I am back here for another reaction to Survivor episode 7 of season 41. And we left off last time where Erica had a very important decision to make, decision that would of course change the fate of the game and change the course of history of the events that had just taken place. This advantage that she was given the chance to seize, of course, was an hourglass that she had the ability to smash and change the results of the last challenge so that the players who were then immune would now be susceptible to elimination at tribal council, and the people who were previously battling for a spot at immunity would be safe and in the discussions of who they wanted to vote out. And this would include Erica being with that new immune group. And so, of course, like any logical person, Erica chooses to go ahead and smash that hourglass. Great decision for her. I mean, it made sense in the long term. They were talking about sending her home, first of all, and it potentially makes these people feel indebted to Erica and willing to work with her because she just gave them immunity where they were just at risk of going home. So there's that. And then, on top of that, we also have this immunity challenge coming out. And so now that the previously immune people are playing for their own individual immunity, so we get a very challenging challenge, I guess, for immunity that sees the contestants using their feet to stack a tower of blocks and then stick a flag through the middle of it in a tiny little hole. It was pretty intense. And so the people competing in this were the likes of Evie and Sydney, and we had Deshawn and Danny, and then who ended up winning this challenge was Ricard. Good win for Ricard. Yeah, this foot challenge, it looked pretty tough to me, so I don't know if I would come out on top if I was out on Survivor playing that game and doing that, because it looked pretty challenging. But as I stated, Ricard ended up taking home the victory, and so he is now immune again. And so this episode really focused on the dynamics of the island once the immunity was played for, and we got to see the different names thrown around. Of course, there was a lot of discussion surrounding Xander's hidden immunity and Xander's extra vote. But Tiffany brought to Xander's attention that Liana had the stealing advantage that she could play at any time. And that's a pretty overpowered thing, I think. But man, as I said before, what an episode this turned out to be for Xander. There was also talks of sending home Deshawn possibly, and Sydney, and then Evie's name came up. They were talking about how they were going after Evie, so Xander was going to play his idol for Evie if that happened. And so we finally get to tribal council, and I really do enjoy when they get to do this, when they show the full conversations. Well, I guess not full conversations, but a lot of the conversations that go on the island, more so than the challenges, because while the challenges are fun, that's really the workings of the game. That's where the true juiciness is happening, I guess. All the side conversations on the island. And so we got to see inside their minds, and it's kind of up in the air. One person that I will say did not make any noise whatsoever this season, for better or for worse, was Heather. You know, you would kind of see her face every once in a while in the episode, but it was almost as if she was not there. Like, was she really playing? Because not a single person said her name. I mean, and obviously she was immune because she was part of that group who, as a result of the rewriting of history, became immune. But I didn't hear one person mentioning her whatsoever. She wasn't in anybody's talks, which is a good thing. You know, you don't want to have your name brought up, but at the same time, it's like, geez, she got no screen time, no confessional, nothing. We get to tribal council, and all cards are on the table. Everybody's just talking wildly. And I believe there is a place and time to tell people things, but it seems these days on Survivor, nothing is a secret. As soon as anybody gets an advantage, they always want to tell their best friend that they have on the tribe. And then that friend just wants to tell one more friend, and it all snowballs from there. You see how it goes. Everybody ends up knowing that Xander has this hidden immunity idol. Everybody ends up knowing that Liana has this stealing advantage, which leads to one of the greatest moves in modern Survivor. Well, maybe that's a stretch, but as of this moment, it was, because it got me hyped. And the by far the greatest gameplay move of the season so far, where Xander decided to hand over his advantages to Tiffany to hold on to, because the rules of Liana's stealing advantage are as follows. She must ask a player, do you have an advantage or do you have an idol? And if the answer is yes to either of those questions, then they must give them that. So if they have an idol, she asks, do you have an idol? They have to give her the idol. She asks, do you have an advantage? And they have an advantage. They have to give her that advantage. So she goes ahead and whips it out after Xander kind of flexes his idol and lets everybody know that he is willing to play it for Evie tonight, who was the last talk that they had. She asked him straight up, you know, hey Xander, do you have an idol? And Xander is like, you can, no, I don't, but you can have this. And Leanna's like, huh? So then we get the flashback, and Xander, knowing what Liana was up to and knowing that they couldn't trust her, even though they were all on that same tribe together, goes ahead and hands those items over to Tiffany and makes his own fake idol. And that's what he was wearing to tribal council. That's the genius of it. So that he made everybody think that he still had it, but he didn't have it. And now she wasted her advantage. She no longer has that steal and advantage any longer. And she was out on a mission to prove why Xander was underestimating her. And in reality, I guess he really wasn't. But man, it was fun until we get to the live tribal. I know a lot of us Survivor fans are not a big fan of live tribal, and I think it gets a little too chaotic. You know, it does build anticipation and makes us think, you know, who's really going home. But at the same time, I feel like the strategy kind of goes out of the window a little bit, because you're running purely off of emotions of the moment, and you might not be thinking clearly. And so in this mad scramble, they decide to not play the idol for Evie. They're like, Evie, you're safe. And so it was a close vote. So they split the votes, and so Deshawn ended up with 3 votes. They had and so basically the final vote tally was Deshawn ended up with 3 votes to his name. Evie had 4, and the person going home tonight was Sydney with 5. But Xander really showed his Survivor knowledge in this episode, and it was a great one for him going forward. no idea what to expect. All I can say though is that Deshaun seems to be a great sport, and he really gets the game, because even when Erica announced that she smashed the hourglass and that he was no longer immune, he seemed to understand that there's new twists and turns, and that was explained at the beginning of the episode. So there's no such thing as saying, you know, this isn't fair, because they knew that there were going to be new advantages going into this. And so I love that he was accepting of that. It's pretty cool. So I guess my favorite people in the season so far, like Xander after that move especially, Deshaun is cool, and then we're still rocking with Shan, and wonder if she's still running with Ricard, because it seems like she's been pretty tight with that new four of her, Leanna, Deshaun, and Danny. We shall see. This is a great episode though. We are finally merged. No more tribes, just one big mess of people trying to win that $1 million. I enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed me talking about it and my thoughts on it, my opinions. If you did, of course, leave a like on the video. Comment down below what you thought. What your opinions are. Who is your favorite this season? Let me know that. That's the question of the day. Who is your favorite so far this season? And click the subscribe button and the bell next to it. That way you get updated every time that I upload. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.